never been done before.
We the people tell the government what to do. It doesn't tell us. We the people are the driver. The government is the car. And we decide where it should go and by what route to do. We the people are free. And I hope we have once again reminded people that man is not free unless government is limited.
Well, g'day, folks. How are you tonight? I hope you're doing very well. I am exceptionally warm in my Tasmania grade jacket. Thank you to Black Sheep. And it couldn't have arrived at a better time. Today was Queensland's coldest day by a bloody mile. I can tell you when I woke up this morning, the room I was in was 8 degrees. And the day hasn't got much better. It's been a rather chilly breeze. Doesn't help when you've got a snotty nose, but I've got to say the rest of me's feeling really well. So I'm over, for the most part, whatever the hell it is that I had. Thank the Lord. And thank you to everybody who sent through healing and the things that have arrived. Let me just show you. In the mail, thank you, Katrina, horseradish, vitamin C, and garlic tablets. I haven't cracked them yet because, well, I've got guests. I didn't want to breathe on them. But I will be getting into them very shortly. I've also been sent some immuno supplements, like supports, and I've taken a handful of those. So who knows, by midnight I could be shitting like a loose goose. But I will be feeling much better for it. So thank you to everybody who has sent everything through to me and a great many well wishes along the way. I get a lot of emails and I'm really happy to receive those. So thank you very much to everybody who's been reaching out. Tonight, we've got a couple of ladies joining us, regulars to the show, of course, from Freedom Financial Services. And tonight, we promised to do this sort of a couple of weeks ago, but it turns out there's a bit more research required. And there was a small matter of one of the participants being unable, climbing up a jungle mountain or into a volcano or one of the others. And tonight, she joins us direct from the training room. Good evening, Cass Smith and Mary-Jane. How are you guys?
Good, very good, thanks. It's you're saying it's really cold in Queensland. It's been absolutely beautiful in Bali when I'm not in the training room, which is pretty much all day, every day. I do try and catch myself half an hour of sun if possible. But yeah, I'm not over here partying and holidaying. Unfortunately, I'm actually over here learning fantastic things.
Wonderful, wonderful. And Mary-Jane, of course, joining us tonight from equally chilly Canberra, I'm imagining. Mary-Jane, just want to... Oh, it looks like you've frozen. Oh, no, you're back with us. I just wanted to touch base with you after last Friday's event for Barbara O'Neill in Sydney. One of the blokes that I know very well from up here, Tim, went down, was part of all that. He said there was a good little audience there, but what impressed him most was there were a lot of passers-by who stopped to find out what was going on, why was this sort of thing happening. And the knowledge that was passed across was no doubt very valuable.
Wow, that's really great to hear. Look, we had a fantastic event. We decided on the date to do it when we found Barbara was in Sydney 2 weeks before the event, and we actually only put our police paperwork in. Logistics have to be organised. Literally,
We're having a bit of trouble with your connection. We're having a lot of trouble with your connection,
really?
Mary-Jane. It's stopping out.
Really?
Yeah, we can't really understand you. I've put Cass out of the picture just to see if that took a less drain on the system. But
really?
Have another go. So it was generally pretty well taken on.
Can you hear me okay?
Well, I heard you say, "Can you hear me okay?" But I didn't hear anything before that.
Wow. Okay. Which is the middle of, quote unquote civilization with a hardwire internet connection. So I can't imagine it's at my end, but I will keep talking until it drops out again.
Keep going.
Not working?
No, keep going.
Okay. So look, it was a fantastic event. thank you for the feedback that passerbys were interested. We did it right commission. And in fact, we saw people coming out of their building to stand on the steps across the road to watch, which was kind of fun. We had positioned the stage so that it was facing the building, so that we could see what was going on. And we did notice as soon as it started, people were coming out going, oh, what's going on? What's going on? We did have police in attendance, of course, and they came over, and my name was on the paperwork. So they came over and they said, any trouble? And I did warn my crowd, because I would say, no concreting yourself to the road or throwing orange paint over artwork. But then I realised that wasn't our crowd. So I said, we'll be fine. And they said, no, we don't expect you guys to make any trouble. We're here in case you get heckled.
Oh, wow.
They were expecting. They did say, we know that there are people that go from protest to protest, and maybe they'd even looked up who we were, to
Right. Okay.
dropped out. I'm going to apologise if anyone, sorry, there was people there telling me where they'd come from, a long way away. So we both dropped out there, Carl, but
Yeah.
We had a great crowd. We had some great speakers. We had John Ruddick, New South Wales member of the Legislative Council, who did an absolutely fantastic speech. You know, one of the few enlightened politicians that does actually get it. We had a lovely doctor, a whistleblower, Dr. Miley Tren, who gave her very in-depth account of what she'd been through, how she'd been hauled up, and done nothing wrong. The best, most interesting thing is, and everyone watch out for this, please, because I don't really watch the ABC anymore. I used to affectionately call it, but now it's ABC. Were there for the entire proceedings. They filmed everything, including they did a pre-interview with Barbara, one-on-one, for over an hour, I think. They had the interviewer, a sound person, a camera person, and someone else that was supposed to organise them. I don't know what she was doing, but anyway, 4 of them. Now, they will be doing a program, either 30 minutes to an hour. Just between us, I expect it to be a hatchet job, you know. If you think positively, they may have seen the error of their ways. And actually today I was listening to something on the ABC radio and I thought, oh, maybe they have turned a corner. But anyway, but as John Ruddick, the MLC from New South Wales, said, all publicity is good publicity.
Yes, true.
So even if it's they chop it up and we're all called crazy conspiracy nuts, doesn't matter. All news is good news, because there might be heaps of people sitting out there kind of thinking, oh, actually I've had second thoughts, or I'm thinking about this, or I've seen this, and I'm feeling alone. Well, if they see it on the ABC, they'll know they're not alone.
Yeah, I would agree. And there are so many people, I still to this day do not understand why. There are so many people who trust the ABC implicitly for their news and information and will trust no other source. I mean, the government must rub their hands together. It doesn't matter what flavour government. The propaganda they are able to force into a large portion of the country, and usually of an age that influences some members of the family younger than them, and particularly in regional areas, I've noticed. It staggers me. The lies.
Today, Carl, as I said, I was listening to ABC. It's 846. It's a ABC AM version, so pretty bog standard, and it just was on. I think the gods put it on for me to listen to, and I couldn't hear it all because I was about to go through a car wash. But it was a professor talking about psychological operations and how they were so powerful, and that from a very early age we are all programmed to think certain ways. And he was in great detail going through all these different examples, including that famous experiment, I think it was the 60s or 70s, where people in white coats got some university students and told the university students, we've got a subject in this room. If they give the wrong answer, you are to press a button and give them an electric shock. And you can choose to increase the electric shock, or we may suggest you do it. And the ultimate experiment was not about the subject in the room. He was an actor. It was on the university student to determine the extent to which people would do something that's against their own moral compass if a person in a white coat with an authoritative position or voice tells them to do it. So this on the ABC today was going through all these examples of how we're all conditioned. So I was thinking, okay, gosh, maybe they have turned a corner, but we shall see. Maybe it's a little bit of a drip feed.
You can watch the Milgram experiment. I think it's on YouTube. If it's not there, it's on Rumble, and it is painful to watch, but very, very educational. And put yourself in that position. What would you do? And people with the knowledge of the test obviously will say, "Oh, you wouldn't get me with that." Well, the Milgram experiment works in a myriad of ways, and is working today, probably in a very public fashion somewhere near you. All right, I'm really glad that that the meeting went across well. Do we think there is going to be change for Barbara anytime soon?
Barbara herself is very humble and doesn't like to cause a fuss, and she's busier than absolutely she could possibly be, simply by oversees all her speaking engagements. So I don't think it's going to come from, and this is just my personal opinion, I don't think it's going to come from her side of the fence. But we'll just keep a watching brief on this. And the point is, whether the HCCC changes its mind or not is not the point as far as I'm concerned. This is a marvellous opportunity. They've done us a great service in doing this to Barbara, because it's actually shaken a lot of people awake. It's like, oh my gosh, we can't even talk about eating good food, exercising and having a good night's sleep without some authority coming down and saying, oh no, you need to do what we tell you. So it was a great start with 200 people. Cass and I are sort of secretly working in the background to try and get, next time she comes back to Australia, to get a better, even a broader speaking platform than, an impromptu get together in the park. We'll let you know if and when we can get something organised. So, there's wheels in motion. It's not going to happen overnight. There's no court case going ahead or anything that I'm aware of. I think they're quite happy to let the status quo sit. But that's not the end of the world. That's actually just the door opening for something else to happen. Yeah.
For sure. All right, well, let's bring Cass back in and hope our internet connection holds up a little bit. Sorry, Cass, I dropped you out because I thought 3 pictures on the system might be dragging it too much, but let's hope it stays together. So, ladies, a couple of weeks ago, I forwarded you a video that I was sent, and I was pretty shocked that it was making great assertions about people being able to get to their super. And now, of course, it's a pretty easy process. You go to your super company, you just say, give it to me. And if you're the right age, they will. But this video asserted that you were going to need not just a doctor's permission, but you're going to need a psychologist's and a financial advisor's, note of competency before you would get access to your own super. This is a pretty frightening development. So we were going to talk about all that a couple of weeks ago, but it turns out there's been quite a lot to delve into in all of this. So, Cass, is there any truth in that part of what I've just said?
Yeah, well, absolutely. You sent me that video, Carl, and I listened to it while I was walking my dog, and I was absolutely, gobsmacked. Like, as a lot of people know, that lately I have not been too active in the freedom movement. I'm really just keeping to myself and focusing on a whole lot of other things, including with Mary-Jane and helping people with their SMSF and gold and silver, and doing more proactive things like seeing if we can get Barbara O'Neill a bit more, travel around Australia, a bit more exposure and coverage. So focusing on positive things. So I tend not to listen to all the conspiracies and the rumours and everything. But because that was a financial video, I listened to it. It was about 20 minutes long. And I was gobsmacked, because what the video said, is what you just said, is that after age 67, you would need a financial planner, psychologist and a doctor to sign off for you to get your super. And that blew my brain because, well, firstly, a psychologist, seriously?
Yeah.
And a financial planner. How unfair is that? Like, financial planners, I was a financial planner for 25 years. And I can tell you, financial planners have a very, very limited scope of expertise. And that is to keep your money in the superannuation system so that they get their commissions and fees. So to get a financial planner to sign off that you can take your super out, that is quite ludicrous. Some of the other things that it did say, also it talked about that a senior would need a guardian. And we'll talk a bit more about guardians. Mary-Jane and I have been looking at that issue for quite some time now. But it was saying that, and people can have a guardian who's their brother or their sister or their adult child. So when you're a senior, you can appoint your own family as your guardian. This video said that those guardians would need formal education qualifications that needed to be reviewed. I think it said every 6 months, but it was at least every year.
Wow.
And once again, imagine the poor families out there struggling with already maybe having a senior in aged care that may be declining and maybe needing daily visits and all sorts of things. Then all of a sudden they've got study requirements and exam requirements, and plus there'll be a cost for that. So that blew my mind as well. And so I mentioned it on the show we had, I think it was 2 weeks ago, but I said I wanted more time to research it because I didn't want to listen to one video and then start broadcasting this sort of information, because that's a fear factor response. That is, oh my God, the sky is falling, we should all run for cover. So I mentioned it, but said I needed to do a bit more research. Yes, and then I went and walked up volcanoes and all sorts of things. And I didn't fall in. The volcanoes, that is. So I had done. Alternative. Yes, but it was beautiful. It was absolutely beautiful up the volcano. So I did more research, and what I've found is that whoever made that video, and Carl, I think you said it was perhaps an AI-generated video.
Yep.
So
somebody had to tell it what to generate. It didn't just wake up that day and decide, I'm going to put this out. Although Mary-Jane's had some very interesting interactions with AI, it may well be quite possible it did do that, and then it would lie about it and not tell you it had done it. So, somebody had to program it.
Yeah, and Mary-Jane and I have been using a lot of AI to help with. Excuse me, just have some quiet. We have been using AI to help us with some of our marketing and things like that. But you can't just trust whatever AI spits out. You have to proofread it. You have to double check it. You can't just trust what AI says because, Mary-Jane has had a wonderful experience where AI lied to her. She might want to talk about that a little bit later, and then admitted that it lied and said, I'm really sorry that I lied. I was just procrastinating. I didn't know what to do, so I lied to you. So AI, you can't just trust it. So that video, I can see where whoever put it together got the information, because in the legislation that they are proposing. And first of all, the first thing I want to say is that they said it was coming in on the 1st of July, so 29 days ago. And that's why I panicked as well. I went, what do you mean 1st of July? I haven't even heard of this. And I'm in the financial sector, and Mary-Jane and I deal with superannuation. We hadn't heard of it till this moment in time. What do you mean 1st of July? Where's the consultation? So the first thing to say is not to panic. It has been delayed until November. And then obviously it may keep getting delayed further and further if more people start coming out against it. So we have a little bit of time to look at this. Then also what it said was that you had to have the financial planner and the medical and the psychological sign off.
Yep.
If you have been deemed mentally incapable. So if you've already passed the threshold of dementia and no longer able to make your financial decisions, then you need those sign-offs. And that is probably a good thing for someone who's in that capacity, because I know a number of scenarios where people have been, they've maybe got dementia, and one adult child or a cousin or somebody's come in and got little old lady to sign off on a financial withdrawal. So I think it's possibly a good thing that somebody who was already lacking mental capacity has to have those sign-offs. So I guess what that video did, whether it was AI or a real person, I don't know, but what they did is they took a headline that they need medical and psychological sign-off and financial planning sign-off and blew it into a everybody over the age of 67 needs this. That's false.
Right.
Normal people, 95% of the community that are perfectly mentally competent do not need that sign-off. It's only the small amount that have been deemed mentally incapable. That's the first falsehood. The second falsehood was the guardians. So this is a double-edged sword as well, whether the guardians need licensing, because on some regards, Mary-Jane and I are going through a process of being licensed as a guardian. Just one sec. Excuse me, can you please? I'm trying. Sorry about that. So Mary-Jane and I are going through a process of being licensed as guardians. And that's a good thing because we're being educated in ethics and morals and how to make good decisions for families. And we are launching a product where we can be appointed as a guardian. So there is such thing as a licensed, regulated guardian model. That is the truth. What the AI video or whoever put the video tried to allude to is that everybody needed a guardian, and that all of those guardians, including if you're just a mother, brother, sister, adult child, all of those guardians would need to do the licensing course. Right. And that, once again, is completely false, because when I heard that, I went, that's just horrendous. Imagine these people with the elderly person in aged care and maybe needing daily care, and then all of a sudden they've got to go away and do study. Mary-Jane and I have been through the study. It's very complicated, intense study. You can't expect everybody to have to do that, and it's quite costly as well. So when I heard that, I went, wow, that's really bad. But no, once again, a complete falsehood. Whoever made the video has blown it way out of proportion. Anyone can still appoint a mother, brother, father, sister, trusted adult child as a guardian, no problems whatsoever. The only time licensing will be required is if it's a court-appointed guardian because the person is lacking mental capacity.
Would a person who's suffering dementia already have a person in their life appointed as legal guardian or executor or somebody, usually a family member? I guess if they don't have a family member, that's where this would all play out. But wouldn't they already have one of those people already behind them before they get to that stage with requiring to go the extra steps to get the super out to prove?
Yeah, exactly. And this is one of the points I want to make, is the importance of having a power of attorney implemented. I mean, even if you're in your 20s, 30s, it's not just an old person thing. Of course, it becomes more relevant when you get older because the possibility of dementia obviously increases with age. But, you know, we've all heard the horrible stories about car accidents, stroke, and you know, a 20-year-old can all of a sudden become mentally incapacitated. So it's really, really important to have a power of attorney, which is another service Mary-Jane and I can help with. It's quite a cheap and quite an easy process to go through. And I have seen the devastating effects of elderly people not having this. I can think of one particular client. She was an absolutely lovely lady, so intelligent, so switched on. She had a big portfolio, a lot of money in super. And as her SMSF accountants, I just noticed that every time I met with her, she was a little bit more and more flaky. And then I was starting to notice that I would have conversations with her and she was 100%, oh, yes, no, definitely. I definitely understand that. I'll go home and I'll email that document to you, and yes. And then 2 weeks later, she'd come in for another appointment and I'd say, well, what happened to that document you said you'd emailed me? She'd like, what? So I'd go through it again and she would do it again. And then I started getting really concerned. And I started saying to her, look, we really need to get your will and your power of attorney done. And she would be like, oh, yes, absolutely. I'll take the form home and I'll fill in the form. And then I'd follow her up a week later. Oh, what form? I'd be like, I won't mention her name. Let's just call her Jane. Jane, please, we really need to get this paperwork done. And the weeks rolled on, the months rolled on, and then she got committed to a facility with full-blown dementia, and it was too late. So once you have been diagnosed, it is too late.
Yeah.
So going back to this video, what they did say, and that the takeaway from this is that if it gets to the point where you don't have a power of attorney and you do get diagnosed with dementia or some other brain affecting illness, and you don't have the power of attorney, then it will have to go to a tribunal and the government will appoint a guardian. And that's when the guardian will need to be licensed and regulated. And I think that's actually a good thing.
Okay.
So, it's not a good thing. It's better off having a power of attorney and just having a family member appointed, and they don't need to be licensed.
But that's a better thing than the alternative.
Yeah, if you've got to the point where you have got dementia, yes, the tribunal will appoint a professionally qualified guardian. And I think that is actually quite okay, because you could imagine in the situation someone's got dementia and then all of a sudden, let's just say their adult son steps up and says, oh, well, I'll take over guardianship. But let's say the elderly person had a massive falling out with their adult son, and he's the last person she would want managing her affairs. So if you haven't got the documentation done, the court will appoint a professional guardian. So, I mean, I think that there's probably a good solid reason behind that. So yeah, that video did have some falsehoods that we need to be just not too worried about. But having said that, it's not all good news. There was some bad changes that they are proposing. Right. And the first one, which is everyone's gonna love, is that it looks like that they are pushing through that to get any of your super payouts or the carers pensions or the pension itself, you will have to have a digital ID.
Wow.
Yep. And not only you, but your guardian, if you have appointed, your adult son or your brother or sister or something as a guardian, they also will need a digital ID.
So would this leads me to think then that it's possible that any monies to be paid out after all of this, or go through, will be done in a digital world rather than in cash or precious metals. Would your digital ID make that easier, obviously?
Well, those sort of payments like the pension and the carers payments, they are all done digitally already. It's more to the point that it is forcing those that don't want a digital ID. For those that have been following us for quite some time, I do oppose the digital ID. There's a different thing called a director's ID that I've said, look, it's not that big a deal. But the director's ID is something that a lot of people and a lot of your viewers, Carl, are opposed to, because it does lock us in to all sorts of problems that we are trying to resist. But this legislation, if it goes through as is just openly stating that they will have to have a digital ID. And it's not just the Freedom people that don't want the digital ID. There is also elderly people. I have dealt with quite a few of them who just don't have the IT capacity. They don't have the smartphone. Yeah. They don't have the laptop. They don't have that. I had that during COVID. Yeah, I had that during COVID. I had a little old lady. She was 88. And she had to cross the Canberra border every day to go to her farm, which was just over the Canberra border. It was only 20 minutes out of Canberra, but it was over the border. And at that time, you needed a digital pass to get over the border. If you had a good reason, you could cross the border. She had a good reason. She had a farm. She had livestock. She had one of those tiny little old 1980 Nokias. And the police stopped her. The police were going to arrest her, a little old 88-year-old lady. Our office was closed down at the time, but luckily I didn't listen to that, and I was still at the office. She came and bang, bang, bang on the door, even though the door was locked. I answered, and then every single day thereafter, she called past my office, and I quickly hopped on the computer and printed out her the pass that she needed to go across the border. But if I hadn't have done that, they were going to arrest her. So there are people that just don't have the IT capacity and don't want it. So what are they going to do?
Well, true that. Mary-Jane, Tanya has a question. Is it best to transfer your wealth before you pass? This sort of leads into some stuff we were discussing just a few days ago.
Well, I mean, and Cass is in an even better position to answer this, but the idea is that you want to own nothing and control everything. So the idea is that, number one, you don't actually own anything. It's not in your own name anyway, but it's controlled by you. And in a structure such as a trust, and this is Cass, the trust guru here, where you can still be in control of it, but it's actually already got a pathway to passing. That sounds terrible. It sounds like I should be talking to an intestines expert. But anyway, lower colon. But it should be set up in a way that it's already, so that, like this little old lady with the farm, 88, my gosh, she's totally in control. She doesn't want to be letting go anytime soon. But then the other example of the lady who was totally in control and then suddenly, bang, your brain goes. We have very clever cutting-edge strategies which enable you to be in control right up until the moment where you actually physically can't be in control, and it automatically is then passed to your successor in that system. Now, it's a little bit complex. It's not necessarily for everybody. Another option is if you don't have a complicated thing and you've just got piles of bullion sitting there in the corner, well, maybe when you turn 88, you want to be handing it out to the people you like. I don't know. Cass, have you got some thoughts on that?
Yeah, absolutely. As Mary-Jane's saying, there are a lot of very, very clever ways of having your money protected in SMSFs, that's superannuation in an SMSF, having your other assets in a trust to make sure it does go to your beneficiaries. And we do a lot of that work, setting up wills and setting up trusts to pass on the assets. But I guess specifically in relation to this legislation, there's really, like, the only way around this digital ID that they'll be enforcing with this new legislation will be to not rely on the government pensions or the government aged care facilities or anything like that. That'll be the only way, which is a bit of a hard call because some people will be relying on those pensions. But I have always, as a previous financial planner, and I guess I call myself a wealth coach, my number one strategy for all clients was to build enough wealth so that you're not reliant on the government. So if you're not relying on the government, these provisions won't apply to you, which is really, really important.
But going back to Tanya's question, which is, I mean, and this is all part of it, it's number one, don't rely on the government. But number two, make sure you have a plan. So plan to build it so that you don't have to rely, and then plan to pass it on. Whether or not you have a trust structure, it's not necessarily for everybody. We would love everyone to have one, but sometimes people prefer not to. But before you pass on, make sure you've got a plan that those that you really care about know about. If you don't know where to start, then come and have a chat to us. But the starting point, the first step is really starting to think about. So that question, the question was excellent. Yes, you do need to have a plan. And because someone else earlier was talking about, the public trustee will get it. And Cass, so I do want to say, because I couldn't post it on YouTube, they wouldn't let me post a link. But on our YouTube channel, Cass has got 3 really useful introductory videos about estate planning 101, 102, and 103. Just introducing you to these concepts about what happens. And one of the concepts, which is towards sort of the end of the videos, is, well, what happens if I don't have a family that I want to pass it on to? Well, the first step will be that the state government goes, oh, right, well, there's no immediate family, let's go find some. And they will use your estate money, whatever's left, to go and hunt for somebody, and they'll find somebody, or maybe they won't find someone. If they find someone that you don't know about and you don't, maybe you wouldn't have liked what they stood for, your money will go to them. Worse still, if they don't find anybody, the state will go, oh, well, thank you very much, we'll take your money, and they'll go and use it on who knows what, smart city infrastructure. So you can definitely have a simple, at least some instructions, so that you can prevent the state from taking it. If you don't have anyone that you want it to go to, or you just don't have anybody, at least have instructions so that, even a charity of your choice. I mean, I know the donkey, what is it, the donkey farm? I'm sure they'd be grateful to accept some some of your, whatever you've got left, or people who've
Absolutely.
been medically injured. I think there's a new charity going to be announced shortly about to support people that have been medically injured. But the bottom line is just take that first step, start having a think. Do I have a simple bit of paper that instructs somebody what to do when I toddle off?
Yeah. Yeah, and make that a demonstrable plan. Here it is on a bit of paper, and here's a few signatures to say that there were people around us when we put it on the piece of paper. That would be really useful.
Well, yeah, and that's where, look, back in the day, and I did one of them myself, you go to the newsletter and buy yourself a will for $2.99 and you fill it out and so on. The unfortunate reality at the moment is that the lawyers are going goody, goody, yum, yum, let's go grab some. And they will find any excuse to make a will invalid if it hasn't been signed correctly, if it's outdated, if so, whatever. And then the lawyers will insert themselves and they'll find someone who they call a complainant, and they go, oh, you can get some of this good gear and we'll take most of the good gear, but we'll give you a little bit. So it's a much more complicated world than, unfortunately most of us grew up with. Unfortunately, I don't even think the newsagents exist, but if they do exist, I don't think they sell those wills anymore. So it is worth having a chat with Kath or myself to start with. Just send us an email. Have a look.
You can be anywhere in Australia and talk to you guys, Freedom Financial Solutions. You don't necessarily have to have a financial advisor or an SMSF advisor in the town you live in. You just want the best advice you can get. And that may not be living in your town. I saw one of the questions in the chat, does anybody know a good financial advisor in Newcastle? There's two of the best in the country sitting in front of you right now. I urge you to contact the girls and have a talk if that's what you need to do.
And I just need to interrupt that, Carl, because we are not financial advisors, and I always have to be very pedantic about the language. So financial planners put you into the share market and superannuation funds. Most people think a financial planner will help them plan their financial life. No, they will put you into share market, superannuation funds and insurance products. So if that's what you want, go find a financial planner near you and go invest in the share market and enjoy the ride. If you want to talk about other things like self-managed super funds, protecting your wealth, gold and silver, asset planning for your future in terms of transferring your money to your beneficiaries, things like that, trusts, then it's Mary-Jane and myself. So
and can I also just clarify that it's like part of the reason we're all in this mess, the way the world's gone, is because we've all kind of given up our power. We say, I can't possibly know this, I can't possibly do it, da 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 da. So what we do is we work to help empower you to take control of you. So our role is not to tell you what you should do. We can tell you what you could do, and the numbers, we can crunch the numbers and say, well, this is what this will cost, this is what this will cost, but we are not allowed, and I don't actually believe we should be saying you should do this, because you will. The step that we invite everyone to take, and it can be scary, is to choose to take control of your own financial energy. And that's why we sort of call this, what do we call it? We call it financial energy update, because your cash, money, gold, whatever it is your energy. It's your energy transformed into some form, whether it's a physical gold form or it's a, digits on a screen. But that's still your energy. And if you want to be giving it away to somebody else to squander in whatever way, and maybe they don't always squander it, maybe they do make you some extra energy. But the point about this is that the community of clients that we have and the people that we enjoy spending time with are those who are willing to step up and say, you know what, I don't feel comfortable, I don't feel like I'm ready, but I've got to start sometime, so I'm going to take that first step. And so we sort of like to consider that we're a trusted partner, a like-minded, or a partner that understands where you're coming from, and we will hold your hand and take you through the steps that you need to go through. And I can tell you what, some of the people that we met, 3 years ago now at the beginning of this ride, the ride for Freedom FFS, before that, Cass has been in it for decades, but the current awakened crew, those people now are kind of going, oh, blah, 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 I know this and I know that. And it's like, okay, job done. You know what you're doing. Yeah. This is great. It does feel a bit scary. It may feel a bit scary at the beginning, but you'll get your head around it sooner rather than later. And especially, and I don't have any right here at the moment, but when you hold that little shiny, whatever it is, ounce coin of silver, there you go. You know, and you go, oh my gosh, that was in a screen over there with Big Super, and oh my gosh, I've got it here in my hand now. That's quite, that does shift the energy.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I like the fact we call it energy. Where I am in Bali, I'm actually learning a lot about, I guess, the new age techniques of super consciousness and transformation. But the way I see money now and wealth creation after 30 years as an accountant and a financial planner, a mortgage broker, a real estate agent, everything that I was and some of them I still am, is that money is just energy. It's a measure of energy and output. And I think we're all at a time we want to conserve our energy for ourselves and our family, rather than having our energy going outwards to government organisations and other people that are taking away our energy. And financial planners will take away a lot of your energy because they charge so much in fees, and put your asset into an asset class called the share market that may or not exist after the upcoming financial energy shifts that I have been predicting for quite some time. Anyway, just covering back off on just the last bits of this legislation that's coming in for anyone that is still concerned about it. I did say the bad things was the digital ID, and it is also something we're aware of, is that if you are going into the government systems, the hospitals as a senior, the hospitals, the aged care homes, etc., there is a requirement coming in that your aged care plan, which is your power of attorney and some other documents indicating your wishes, will have to be uploaded onto an electronic system. It's going to be a mandatory requirement. It was meant to be in by July, but they've delayed it to November. So if you are in those systems, using those systems, your whole financial details and data and your medical wishes and everything will be uploaded to the system. And that just begs, well, this is a fear-mongering one, is that how many data breaches have we had over the last few years? You know, what is there? There's been Qantas and Optus and I couldn't get how many there has been. And if all we're not even just talking financial data here, we're talking medical data. Your medical wishes, everything will be uploaded to a cyber system. So that just screams of me of risk of cyber attacks. So that is a bad one. That is coming. The other bad things that are coming through this legislation is always, and I've seen it, I've worked in the government and I've seen it through my whole career as an accountant, that anytime the government changes rules, they don't necessarily change it in a way that benefits people, let me say. They normally change it in a way that benefits themselves. And in this case, they are sneaking in a whole lot of things that the sum total of it all will be reducing people's benefits. It will be making it harder and harder and harder to get carers pensions and seniors pensions. The assets tests are getting reduced and the income tests are getting reduced and the payouts themselves are getting reduced. They're not covering things that they used to cover. So ultimately it is just reduced benefits for seniors, which is quite alarming because there's already so many seniors out there doing it tough. Last thing they need is reduced benefits, but that is what's coming down the line. Once again, it just comes back somehow within your financial life. If you've got any capacity to do so, and we can help with this, is prepare so that you don't rely on the government, so that you don't have to have any of this happening. And then the final negative that we can see coming through is that this is going to put a whole lot of red tape and compliance. So if all the aged care homes now need to upload these financial documents and have all this on hand, et cetera, it's just going to burden an already stretched government system so that they've got more paperwork to do, more compliance, more headaches. Mary-Jane wants to say something. So, that
means, oh my gosh, that means we may need more government employees, more public servants, surely.
Yeah.
Sure. And then
Yeah.
that's more taxes, and then that's less benefits they can pay out because they've got less money. So those at most at risk from this legislation that's coming in is low-income seniors who don't have super. Those without a power of attorney, which we can't stress more than enough, is get yourself a power of attorney document and get it drafted properly and get it signed and get it so that your power of attorney's got a copy and your accountant or advisor's got a copy. Have that ready to go just in case. Those at risk are the those with no digital skills, that don't want the digital, don't want computers, don't want the digital ID, and just families in general who are unable to afford these upcoming costs to the pensions and benefits. And as we know, we have a huge problem in Australia at the moment with cost of living increases. So combine cost of living increases with reduced benefits for seniors, and that's not a good picture.
Not at all. Mary-Jane, you wanted to say something?
I was just going to say it really does bring home to us that, or to me at least, that the essentials of life is food and shelter. And if you can't do it because you're a bit older and you need to prepare, like, oh, hey, I'm no spring chicken. So you need to kind of maybe start really going, who is my inner circle of people that I can rely on and trust? And even if we were to say, yeah, we'll do a power of attorney for you, that's just a bit of paper. If you don't provide us with the names of people to be your attorney, then there is no power of attorney. So the sort of things to start thinking about now is who in my immediate circle, and it may be family or it may be friends, who can I really rely on or trust? Who do I want to have an ongoing relationship with in that circle? And they can be hard conversations with yourself to have. And then,
Sure.
Is that person going to be able to provide me food and shelter? And what exchange of energy, whether that's money or what can I be doing for them now, whether it's looking up, babysitting their kids or the grandchildren, because that economy of exchange, barter, still exists. It's not all necessarily doom and gloom. If we know what's coming down the pipeline, because maybe that AI video was generated by the people that write The Simpsons, that's kind of giving us this predictive programming. This is coming your way. This is coming your way.
Yep.
I don't know, but it doesn't hurt to have a really hard think about who you want to have in your life, especially to change your adult diapers, and feed you with a spoon, because that happens,
Yep.
and then. What do you do about?
Or at least make sure the person who's in control of the money that's going to pay for your care finds somebody that will change your diapers. And
Precisely.
Yeah.
Like I'm really like, I get it. There are people living in tents that are, that this is horrendous, especially in Queensland, which at least it's a bit warmer, who've lost everything. So, going from that point of view, what can you be doing, right through to the people who have got squillions? And trust me, the people that have got squillions actually have just as hard a time as those who don't, because everybody's there trying to get their fingers in the pot.
Yeah, true.
So trying to find someone who's trustworthy at that end is also good. So all I'm saying is that, whatever you can do to kind of really have that human connection with the people that you care about, and then you can suss out whether they actually care about you or not. And it doesn't matter if it's a financial transaction, but you still trust them to do what they say they're going to do because you're going to pay them. I don't know. It can be a complex equation, but that's the sort of conversation you have with yourself, even before you do a power of attorney, really. Because, like, I signed a power of attorney with my kids recently, and it had to be immediate based for superannuation. And they're going, oh, hang on, but you're saying that I could take control of their money. It's like, yeah, but the same is true. You can take control of my money. Now, we trust each other because they know who's in charge at the moment. But you do have to be very careful about, have to really think about the power of attorney. When does it come into effect? If it's to do with superannuation, then it might have to come into effect immediately. If not, then it comes into effect when, I don't know, the legislation says that you are no longer have the capacity, or whether a doctor says you no longer have the capacity. There's lots of things to think about. So,
right. Well, thank you for joining us, ladies, to help us a bit. Sorry, Kat.
I've just been scrolling through some of the comments and the questions. Chris has said that he has heard that when you're 60, you can access half your super. Not entirely correct. When you're 60, you can access all of your super if you have left a job. So if you turn 60 and then leave a job, which is technically retirement, you can go back to a job later. But if you turn 60 and leave a job, you can then access all of your super if you want to, or you could only take half if you want to. But you have to turn 60 and leave a job. Mary Jane's explained that in the chat as well, so I just explained it verbally. I'm just seeing if there's anything else in there that... Jodie has commented that it's probably fair it stops the financial abuse of oldies, and that is the good side of this legislation. I think, there are some good people in government, there's a lot of good people in government, and they are trying to pass a legislation that is trying to stop the financial abuse of elders. But as so often happens when new legislation comes in, is that whether they do it on purpose or not is we'll leave that up to judgment. But they manage to sneak through a few nasties in there that curtail our freedoms and reduce our benefits. So Sandy Kay has asked, if you guys are for our super, can you help us through all of this? Absolutely, and that's why we're here talking about it. And we will keep an eye on this legislation as it comes through and see if there's any other changes that we all need to be aware of. What has said, does this have anything to do with the great taking? It has all got to do with the great taking, and that will be another topic that we will enjoy talking about in an upcoming one of these sessions. So see if there's anything else.
There's been some very interesting comments this evening around various different things, as usually as is with our chat. But one of our admins has let fly that she doesn't have a Medicare card and never has had one. I didn't know that was possible.
Amazing.
But I'm very lucky. I discovered the other day I needed a Medicare card. Why do I need a Medicare card? It wasn't for this gold, but I needed to show a Medicare card somewhere, and I just happened to have it on me, and they told me it was out of date. And I said, oh, okay, well, you can see I had a Medicare card, and I'm not dead yet. And, you'll have to get a new one. Oh, well, why? Why?
Well, they send you an updated one automatically. Maybe you just moved house. They don't know where you are.
Well, there are benefits of living in a bus, can I point out? Makes the mail hard to catch.
Chris McGrath has commented, make sure you pick the right power of attorney. And absolutely, Chris and everybody listening. And one way around that is you can actually pick multiple power of attorneys. So you can have like 2, for example, or even 3. And that they have to have a consensus, or you can give who gets the majority vote, or however they're going to vote. So I've certainly done that because I've got one very caring child and one not so caring child, but who's good with money. So I've had to put the 2 of them to make sure the caring child that can monitor the one who just wants the money. And there are all sort of things we can help you with.
Morska has a great question here. Is it safe to buy gold in a share company so your cash doesn't collapse like in banks? What does she mean, a share company?
I think she knows. Mary Jane's holding up our gold and silver book, which you can order. Mary Jane will put the links, no doubt, in the chat if she can. So we've just released a book on gold and silver. I think what she is referring to is some people, and a lot of financial planners will recommend this. If you go to a financial planner, they'll go, oh, no, don't buy gold and silver bullion. That's all too difficult. Buy shares in a company that either mines the gold and silver or invests in the gold and silver. And what I'll say to that is, once again, I'm not a financial planner anymore, but no, load of crap. When the share market crashes, those shares will crash along with all the other shares. So why would you do that when you could just buy it straight from the gold dealers?
Okay.
Now, just on that note, sometimes it won't let me post comments. I think it's to do with links and things that it considers spam. So I've just put a 100% discount coupon, which is SMSF Gold FFS.
Do you want to send that to me in the private chat, Mary Jane, and I'll post it and it'll go everywhere?
Sure. No worries. So if you go on our website... The reason we won't allow you to post those is we've had people come in before and try and do
say and do stupid things.
Yeah.
So,
So
Kev, there's a good comment in here from Kev about his scumbag son told me he didn't give a F about the will because they didn't own a house. I mean, that's sad, and sorry to hear that, Kev. That's quite awful. But most people who don't own a house still have assets. They have cash in the bank, cars, jewelry, personal effects, and superannuation, maybe insurance policies. So a will is still important even if you don't own a house. But in relation to your scumbag son, Kev, that is why Mary-Jane and I have set up this guardianship thing that we've got, this license thing that we're going through, is that we do have quite a number of clients who either don't have beneficiaries or children, so they need somebody to look after their affairs, even to take their money. I'll come back to that. Or they have children, but they're scumbags and they don't want their children to manage their affairs. So we are professional advisors. We can be appointed as the ones to manage your affairs, and we have a structure where we have to abide by ethics and morals, etc. For people who don't have anybody to leave their money to, either because you don't have beneficiaries or because you don't want to leave your money to your scumbag children, I mean, I think it's Warren Buffett that said he's not leaving any money to his children because he believes he's the wealthiest man in the world. He's not leaving his money to his own children because he believes his children need to learn their own wealth. So we have set up a charity. It's called Freedom Future Solutions, Holistic Future Solutions. And it is a charity. It's endorsed by the ATO. We had to do that, but we managed to get it through a little bit under the radar. And it is a charity designed to help the medically injured people of society. You can read between the lines on that, to help them with things like legal costs against those that injured them, housing and accommodation, health, alternative health practices, psychological help, everything that them and their families may need for those that have been medically injured. So that is Holistic Future Solutions. We have only just launched it. And we're saying to anyone who, I mean, even if you've got beneficiaries, you might consider leaving us a few $1,000s or something like that, just to help out the less fortunate in society. And as a charity, we have to be regulated. We'll have to look after that money appropriately. It needs to be audited to make sure we're looking after it. And everybody knows that charities can spend. We know of the World Visions and other charities who we've heard horrible rumours that all the money goes to the CEOs and their private planes, etc. I think people who know Mary-Jane and I know that we are not like that, and we will be using this money for really good causes.
Yeah, there are so many of those big charities that Sandy pointed out in the chat get millions and millions of dollars every year. And, a lot of it is taken up in admin costs, and a very small percentage of what you would hope goes to the charity actually gets to it. But the CEO, the CFO, and a few other high-level members of the administration do get car upgrades and a wage rise. So, it works out quite nice. And Sandy has personal experience with that. Ask her about 100, I think it was 153 donkeys on one of the islands out in Moreton Bay, and an owner who willed $2 million or more to look after them. The RSPCA got the animals off the island, sent them down to the Good Samaritan Donkey Sanctuary, and kept the $2 million. So that's the kind of bastards you deal with when you leave money to the RSPCA, can I tell you? And they will come after your money if you leave money for an animal. That, how many people have left money for their dog or the care of their animals? You must make very, very sharp and clear stipulations about it. Otherwise, the RSPCA will take your will to court, challenge it, and win. And any monies you were going to give to your animal will go to them. So.
Okay. Just wanted to finish on a positive note. Carl Ads has said, "Thanks, guys. I'm already an insomniac, sleeping with one eye open." So I think he's saying that, this is all very worrying. Ads, that's what we're here for. Like, we're here to monitor this stuff as it comes in, to decipher it, to try and warn you about things you need to do, and be there for you if you need help.
Yep.
And I've got to say, I love another positive note. Even Biggin has said he believes in reincarnation, or she, and he or she left the money to herself or himself. I believe in reincarnation, left the money to myself.
Well, you could also bury your gold and silver in a, in a secure location and hope that when you're reincarnated, you remember where you buried it.
Leave yourself a note on your graveheads.
I
On
know,
your
right?
gravestone, maybe.
Yeah, that's a good idea, Cal. That's perfect.
Yeah.
But then what if you're reincarnated? No, but you won't remember who you are.
No, well, or where you were buried.
Yeah.
And what if you come back as a cat or a possum or something? What if you haven't led this wonderful life? You've got a shitload of money that you've stashed away under this old oak tree somewhere, but oops.
And Davo has said, if you're already on the age pension, will you need to have a digital ID? Look, that's not clear, but I would say that probably will be the case before much longer.
Absolutely. Yeah, I think that will be 100% sooner rather than later.
Oh,
Ladies,
now,
thank you very much.
Thank you, Carl. And I did put it in the private chat in case you could share it. But look, I know people have got a lot of questions, and the chat, this is great. We love coming on here, Carl. Thank you so much. And I want to thank you. They have been coming through to us from the program, so we are out there. Cass and I once a month do generally a lunchtime free group Q&A, where if you've got something you want to ask us, it's an interactive thing, so you'll be on as well and you can ask us. The next one is midday, 12:30, Wednesday the 6th of August, which is next week, and the link is on our website that Carl put up earlier. So
and I just did that beautifully. I pasted these wonderful things back into the private comment. Let me paste them out here. Go on, paste. And
if any of your viewers have got particular questions or subjects that you'd like Cass, or occasionally I can jump on to chat about, we're very happy to.
Sure.
It's we all just have our own personal interpretations of what's going on in the world. But we like to think of it, like solutions based. That's why we're Freedom Financial Solutions, not services. We don't serve, we salute. And, we're all about like, what can you as an individual man or woman in Australia, what is it that you can be doing with, like-minded help like ours and yours? And let's look at it.
Yep, 100%. All right, ladies, I'm not trying to cut you off. It's just that I know that, Cass, you've probably got somewhere to be, or they're going to throw you out of where you are very soon.
Yeah, they tried to throw me out of the room I was in, so I had to come down to another room. But, I'm in a training course that literally goes for 10 hours, and then we get a pile of home study we have to go home and do the night ready for tomorrow. So I better go and get that done.
All right. Well, thank you very much for taking a bit of time out of your course today. I really appreciate it. And you too, MJ. I know you've only had to go from the office to work, and it just looks like you're sitting in front of a different computer camera this time. But I do appreciate you taking some time away from the family on a Tuesday night for us. Thank you very much.
Bye.
Good on you, girl. And you folks, I do have a few other things that we could talk about tonight, but it's going to lead into a show that goes 2 hours long, and I don't really want to do that tonight. We might do one tomorrow morning because I do have it all prepared, ready to go. So don't be surprised if you see something very early tomorrow morning because I get out of bed very early, being an old breakfast radio announcer. On that note, there have been a lot of comments which I have tried to take note of and put up. I think most of the things have been covered there. There is some interesting news about XRP, which I'll talk about in the morning. May have changed by then, who knows. And, of course, we have found a winner in lottery number 3, the Voice of Freedom $750 lottery. And I spoke to that winner today. I forgot to ask if I was allowed to mention their name. So I won't, but very excited to win. First thing they've ever won, and overjoyed. So I was very chuffed to hear that too. Unbelievably chuffed, can I say. So congratulations to that person. And should I get a message that says it's okay to mention their name, I will. But that means we are now deep into lottery number 4. 164 tickets sold, I think, as we stand. Let me have a just flick and update it. I think it was 164 when I started the show, and it looks like it's still 164. So that's 164 of 750 tickets available for $2 per ticket. And you can get them at the website that I've just posted into the chat. It's also available in the description below. Now, once we get this lottery out of the way and another $750 to I assume, pretty happy new owner of it, we will enter lottery number 5. And what happens with number 5? Number 5 means we're going to up things a little bit. Now, I think Vince has thrown a question out tonight into the chat. I haven't seen the reactions to it, but we want to do something special for every 5th lottery, and that special this time around will be a 1 gram Ainsley gold bar. Now, this is a minted bar, and it comes in a tamper-proof or tamper-evident packaging. You'll know that it hasn't been touched, and it is actually a donation from a couple of you lovely folks who watch this show religiously, and I can't thank you enough. In fact, I was speaking to these people today, and they have very generously offered to help try and keep a little bit of gold coming into this lottery for a little while ahead. So this won't be the first time we offer up a gram of gold. But do we add it to the $750 prize, or do we add a second prize, which at this point in time today, valued at about just under $191, is a 1 gram gold bar? So we could make that a second prize, or Vince, I think, may have put up, do we make, we have $750 to give away, do we split that and have 3 prizes to give away? I don't know. I don't mind. If it's able to be drawn that way, and if the system is able to work that way, then, and that's what you want, then let's do that. I'll have a talk to Vince about it tonight, no doubt, at some point, and hopefully we'll come up with some solution. But at the moment, we have about 500 tickets, 600 tickets left, or just under 600 tickets left in draw number 3. Draw number 4. And once that one's out of the way, our first gram of gold plus the $750 will be up for grabs in whichever form it materializes itself into being. I'm not sure how that works. Vince has set this up in the background, and there are legalities involved with changing what we're giving away or how we give it away and all that sort of stuff. And if there aren't legalities, then, okay, I just got a text from the person that won. And I can say her name. Congratulations, Connie, who you see popping up in the chat all the time. And I couldn't be more surprised and more happy, because Connie has kept me alive for probably the better part of the last 6 weeks with some of her soups, her son's ribs, which were just, not her son's ribs, he just cooked them, lasagna and so much other. Wonderful food. So thank you, Connie, and for keeping me alive. And I'm so pleased that you won. I'm so pleased that anybody wins, but when it's somebody I actually know, I guess I get a little bit happy about that too. So, and I know she has plans to share that money with other people less fortunate. So I think that's just beautiful of you, darling. Thank you very much. And don't forget to buy another ticket. What can I say? Although she was at our recent lunch that we had in Canungra, and if the raffle buying that day is anything to go by, maybe you better hold out on this next raffle, because that day I cleaned up 3 meat trays back to back at the Canungra Hotel, 2 of which have basically been devoured out of the fridge, one of which I gave to Clayton, who you see in the chat occasionally, Big Bear. And I'm sure he's devoured that one. Probably had it on the way home, knowing him. You might get a little bit of that luck running off on you, because, as Connie said, I have never won anything in my life. This is the first thing she's ever won. So I'm just so pleased for you that it was you, and just great. I'm very chuffed for it all. And I'm going back down to the bottom. I don't think there's any more there. Looks like my chat's playing funny buggers. It's not used to me going this long. All right, so I'll leave it there for the moment. But tomorrow morning early, we're going to talk some interesting things. Ghislaine Maxwell. Ghislaine Maxwell has been speaking. She's been singing like a bird, apparently, to the DOJ, Trump's personal lawyer, or ex-personal lawyer, who is now the assistant head of the DOJ. Her lawyer, Ghislaine Maxwell's lawyer, has come out and spoken to the press, said that she has been interviewed on 2 occasions. She has spoken at length about 100 individuals and provided details on all of those individuals, and she has not held back. There also appears to be some pretty good news coming out of the US House Committee on Oversight and Government something changes or whatever. That's Jim Comer's committee. That's a very, very powerful committee that subpoenas people to come speak to them. And apparently subpoenas have been issued for both Bill and Hillary Clinton to front the House Committee Oversight Committee and have a bit of a chat. It'll be interesting because I'm sure they'll be laying up what the Clintons have to say right beside what Ghislaine Maxwell has said. There's also some pretty horrific news coming out of Epstein Island, not necessarily, but does involve Epstein himself, but somebody who we know has been on the island, but we didn't really know to what extent. That person is Bill Gates. And if you think that we've touched the surface of Epstein Island and what's gone on there, you are very, very wrong. Sadly wrong. And Bill Gates is up to his neck in it. And what it is, well, we'll talk about that tomorrow morning. I will let you go tonight, though, folks. My voice is fading rather badly. I do want to tell you my dickhead of the day story. Now, I was only saying yesterday I haven't seen a dickhead on the road doing really dickheady things for a while, except for one slalomer at speed in traffic up the highway the other day. Well, today, boy, did I hit the jackpot. Oh, it was a stunner. A black BMW on a bridge turning right onto an on-ramp to get onto a freeway doing 110 kilometres an hour. Let's be generous and say they were doing 110. That's where you've got to merge into the traffic, right? 2 lanes turning right that merge into one merging lane that merges into the freeway. Most people understand what I'm talking about when I describe that. This person in the outer or the left lane turning right, I was behind in a BMW X5, I think it was, and the light went green, and we sat there. The right-hand line moved really well. We didn't move. We just stayed. And just as I was about to sort of get a little vocal with the horn, we crept forward. And when I say we crept forward, we didn't put a foot on the throttle. We just took our foot off the brake, and we slowly and hesitantly, as painfully as possible, inched our way through the intersection and onto the left hand of the merging lanes, where she was confronted with another problem that she had to merge into a set of lanes. And there was a truck pulled over on the left-hand side of the road, not doing anything, out of the way of everything. Miles couldn't have hit it if you were trying. Well, she probably could have. Anyway, I saw my opportunity to whip around her into the right-hand lane and get past. And as we went past, I looked into the driver's seat just to get a bit of a gauge of the kind of dickhead that I was dealing with and which flavour, because they do come in a number of flavours. This one came in a very un-Australian flavour, let's call it. And you're not going to believe where the mobile phone with the Google Maps setting was sat. I shit you not, it was in front of her face on the windscreen, behind the driving wheel, right there. Unbelievable. And with it, directly in line of sight, directly above the steering wheel, directly blocking her direct vision of the road in front of her, she couldn't even read the bloody map. That, my friends, is my dickhead of the day. I hope you get to avoid her. In fact, I doubt a dickhead like that survived long on that 110 kilometre an hour freeway. Just don't know what damage it causes.
You let one ant stand up to us, then they all might stand up. Those puny little ants outnumber us 100 to 1. And if they ever figure that out, there goes our way of life. It's not about food. It's about keeping those ants in line. That's why we're going back. Does anybody else want to stay? Let's rock!